The first trial, part 4, the air crackled with an unseen energy, a tangible hum that vibrated through the very bones of the earth. Anansi, his hand resting on the worn wooden handle of his hoe, felt it most keenly. The sun, still high in the cerulean sky, seemed to pulse with a rhythm that mirrored the thrumming in his chest. This was not the familiar sun of his homeland, not the gentle warmth that nurtured his crops and warmed his family. This was a sun imbued with power, a celestial eye watching his every move. He had spent the morning tending his fields, the rhythmic swing of the hoe a familiar comfort in the face of the extraordinary events of the previous night. But the comfort was fragile, a thin veil over the profound shift that had occurred within him. He felt stronger, yes, but also strangely vulnerable. The weight of the cosmos, as the ethereal voices had described it, was not a physical burden, but an emotional one, a sense of profound responsibility pressing down on his soul. A shimmering distortion appeared in the air, a ripple in the fabric of reality that coalesced into a figure. It was tall and slender, its form shifting and indeterminate, like heat rising from sun-baked earth. Its features, though visible, seemed to lack solidity, as if painted on a shifting canvas. Its voice, when it spoke, resonated not in his ears, but directly in his mind. "Anansi, son of the earth, chosen of the stars," the voice echoed, carrying the weight of ages. "Your path begins now. The first trial awaits." The figure gestured, and the landscape around Anansi twisted and reformed. The familiar fields, the comforting rows of millet, vanished, replaced by a desolate, rocky expanse. Towering spires of obsidian pierced the sky, casting long, skeletal shadows across the barren land. A biting wind whipped across the plains, carrying with it the scent of dust and something else, something ancient and unsettling. Anansi, despite the turmoil within him, felt a surge of defiance. He was a farmer, a hunter, a survivor. He wouldn't be intimidated by a shifting landscape or a disembodied voice. He gripped his hoe tighter, its familiar weight a source of grounding in this surreal landscape. "I am ready," he declared, his voice echoing across the desolate plain, surprisingly strong and unwavering. He was a simple man, but he was not a coward. The stars had chosen him, and he would not falter. The figure, its form flickering slightly, nodded. "The trial is one of endurance, of spirit. Before you lies the path of whispers. It winds through this desolate land, guarded by the echoes of forgotten sorrows. These whispers will test your resolve, your heart, your very soul. To succeed, you must overcome the doubts and fears they will plant within you. You must maintain your faith in the light, even when surrounded by deepest shadow." The figure pointed towards a winding path that snaked its way through the obsidian spires. The path itself seemed to writhe and shift as if alive. Anansi could already hear the whispers, faint at first but growing steadily louder, a chorus of despair and regret, of loss and betrayal. He stepped onto the path of whispers, his heart pounding in his chest. The whispers intensified, growing into a cacophony of voices that seemed to claw at his sanity. He heard the cries of his ancestors, their voices laced with anguish over harvests destroyed by drought, over children lost to illness, over the ceaseless struggle for survival in this unforgiving world. He heard the lamentations of countless others, victims of war, famine, and natural disasters. He heard his own fears, his doubts, his anxieties amplified 1,000-fold. The whispers were a personal assault, an attempt to break him down to his very core. He stumbled, his legs feeling weak, his resolve wavering. But then, he remembered his family, the warmth of his wife's embrace, the innocent laughter of his children. He remembered the gentle rhythm of his hoe in the fertile soil, the satisfaction of a successful harvest, the pride in providing for his loved ones. He remembered the night sky ablaze with stars, and the power that surged through him, the responsibility that weighed upon his shoulders. He pressed onward, his steps faltering but determined. He chanted a prayer to his ancestors, his voice a thin thread against the storm of whispers. He remembered the strength of his tribe, the resilience forged in generations of struggle. He reminded himself of his purpose, to bring light to the cosmos, to heal the wounds of a galaxy ravaged by conflict. This was more than just a trial, it was a journey into his very self. He needed to find his inner strength. The whispers continued, growing more vicious and personal. They probed his deepest insecurities, his greatest regrets, his unspoken fears. They spoke of his failures, his shortcomings, his limitations. They taunted him with the idea of giving up, of succumbing to the overwhelming tide of despair. He closed his eyes, focusing on the memories that brought him comfort. drawing strength from the love he had for his family, his community, and his land. He held on to the feeling of the stars within him, the divine power that pulsed with an unwavering rhythm. The whispers became almost unbearable, but he clung to his faith, his purpose, his very being. As he continued further along the path of whispers, the landscape began to shift, gradually becoming less desolate. The obsidian spires retreated into the distance, their shadowy influence lessening. The whispers, though still present, became fainter, their power diminished. He began to see signs of life, a single, resilient flower pushing its way through a crack in the rock, a small bird chirping in the distance, a faint trace of green on a distant hill. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, he emerged from the path of whispers. The desolation had faded, replaced by a landscape of breathtaking beauty. A crystal-clear river flowed through a valley bathed in sunlight, surrounded by lush vegetation and vibrant flowers. He felt a profound sense of relief. Exhaustion mingled with exhilaration. The figure reappeared, its form solidifying, its features now clearly defined, radiating warmth and compassion. "You have proven yourself, Anansi." The voice resonated with approval. "Your spirit is strong, your heart is pure, and your faith unyielding. You have passed the first trial." Anansi felt a profound sense of accomplishment. This was not just a victory over a trial, it was a victory over his own doubts, his own fears. He stood tall, his shoulders no longer burdened by the weight of the universe, but strengthened by its unwavering support. The journey had begun, and he knew, deep in his soul, that he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. He was no longer just Anansi, the humble farmer. He was Anansi, the chosen one, ready to take his place among the stars. The first step towards his destiny had been made, and it was just the beginning. The cosmos awaited.